In the golden embrace of a July evening in 2023, Buckingham Palace stood as a timeless sentinel, its honeyed stonework glowing under the soft caress of a setting sun, its wrought iron gates framing a scene of vibrant life. The air was warm, infused with the scent of summer grass, blooming roses, and the faint polish of ceremonial leather, while the hum of tourists, families snapping photos, children waving Union Jack flags, and couples marveling at the palace's grandeur, created a lively symphony. Amid this festive bustle, Sergeant Michael Carter, a Queen's Guard, stood at his post, his scarlet tunic vivid against the palace stone, his bearskin cap casting a shadow across a face etched with the resolve of a combat veteran. His rifle rested steady in his hands, his dark eyes sharp with a vigilance honed in war zones half a world away. Then a cry shattered the evening's joy. A girl's voice, desperate, piercing through the chatter like a siren. Help me. For those of you who've lived through the trials of war, the quiet pride of service, or the fierce instinct to protect the vulnerable, the Queen's Guard are more than ceremonial figures in scarlet. They're a symbol of unwavering duty, as enduring as the values you've cherished through decades of sacrifice, like the memory of a wartime rescue, the honor of a family safeguarded, or the courage to act when no one else will. But when Carter broke centuries of protocol to save a girl named Lily, his courage would ignite a movement, reshape palace rulers, and remind the world that true duty lies not in stillness, but in the heart's call to protect. Why did he risk everything for a stranger's cry? Subscribe now to uncover the truth behind his heroism, and join us in celebrating stories of compassion that redefine what it means to serve. Sergeant Michael Carter was a man shaped by the crucible of conflict, his broad shoulders and steady hands bearing the invisible scars of 12 years in the British Army. Atri Shata, his dark brown eyes, framed by faint lines of fatigue, held the weight of battles fought in the dusty streets of Aleppo, the volatile plains of Mali, and the shadowed hills of Helmand province. His close-cropped hair, now dusted with early gray, peeked from beneath his bearskin cap. A silent testament to years under fire, Carter had shielded civilians from sniper rounds, carried wounded children through chaos, and navigated the fog of war with a clarity that saved lives, earning him a military cross pinned to his chest in a quiet ceremony he rarely spoke of. His scarlet tunic and towering cap marked him as a Queen's Guard. But beneath the ceremonial garb was a soldier whose mantra, "I'm here to protect," had been forged in the screams of war and carried to the heart of London. To you, who may recall the instinct to act in a crisis, perhaps rushing to aid a neighbor during a storm, comforting a frightened child in a crowd, or standing firm when danger loomed, Carter's resolve might resonate, a testament to the call to protect that transcends uniform or setting. His goal was deceptively simple: to spot danger, even in the stillness of ceremonial duty, to bring the vigilance of the battlefield to the palace gates, where tourists saw only pageantry and tradition. That July evening, the palace grounds were a kaleidoscope of life, a tapestry woven from the laughter of children, the click of camera shutters, and the murmurs of tour guides recounting the palace's history. Families posed in front of the gates, their smiles bright as they captured memories, while teenagers waved selfie sticks, their voices bubbling with excitement. A group of pensioners from Yorkshire, their accents warm and familiar, swapped stories of past visits, their eyes crinkling with nostalgia. Carter stood at his post, his body a statue as protocol demanded, but his mind alive, his peripheral vision sweeping the crowd with the precision of a hawk. His training, a blend of combat instincts and specialized guard drills, had honed his ability to read a scene, to notice the flicker of fear, the shift in posture, the subtle cues that spelled trouble. 8 years earlier, in Syria, he had spotted a child's hesitation before a checkpoint, her glance revealing a hidden explosive. His quick action had saved a platoon. Now, in the heart of London, that same instinct kicked in, his gaze settling on a girl standing apart from the festive throng. She was about 9, her blonde hair tied back in a neat ponytail, her blue dress crisp, but her posture rigid, as if braced against an unseen force. Lily, he'd later learn her name, stood beside a man, Edward, whose hand gripped her arm with a tightness that made Carter's stomach clench. Edward's suit was pressed, his smile practiced, but his eyes darted with a predator's unease, scanning the crowd as if measuring escape routes. Lily's face was pale, her lips pressed thin, her body leaning away from Edward's grip. Something felt wrong. A gut instinct Carter had learned to trust in war zones, where hesitation could mean death. He noticed her long sleeves, an odd choice for a warm summer evening, and when she shifted, reaching for a dropped hair tie, her sleeve slipped, revealing bruises on her wrist purple, fresh, the size of fingertips. For you, who've sensed danger in a fleeting moment, perhaps noticing a stranger's unease in a shop, a child's fear at a park, or a situation that didn't add up, Carter's alertness might echo a time when your instincts screamed to act, when the world slowed and your heart demanded you move. Edward leaned close to Lily, his whisper harsh, his words carrying to Carter's trained ears over the crowd's din. "Be quiet, or else." Lily flinched, her shoulders hunching, and as she turned, scratches became visible on her neck, red, raw, as if clawed in a desperate struggle. Carter's jaw tightened, his heart pounding, his mind racing through his training. Signs of abuse, bruises, scratches, fear in the eyes, coercion, tight grip, whispered threats, a child's tension. In Mali, he'd learned to spot trafficked children, their handlers' tactics seared into his memory. Lily's eyes met his, wide and desperate, her gaze locking onto his scarlet tunic, as if he were her only hope. "Help me," she cried, her voice cutting through the crowd's noise like a blade, sharp and raw. She struggled, pulling against Edward's grip, her small body twisting. "He's not my uncle." The words were a spark, igniting Carter's resolve, shattering the stillness that protocol demanded. Stand motionless. Speak not. Engage only in extremis. The crowd froze, tourists turning, their phones raised, their murmurs a mix of shock and confusion. Did she say help? What's happening? Edward's sneer was cold, his grip tightening as he hissed, "Shut up, you little." But Carter was already moving. Protocol bedamned, his duty to protect overriding the rules that bound him to his post. Carter set his rifle down, its clatter echoing against the palace stone like a gunshot, and leaped the low barrier with the agility of a man who'd navigated rubble-strewn streets under fire. His bearskin cap stayed firm, his tunic a blur of scarlet as he closed the distance. Memories flooded back Syria, digging through the debris of a collapsed school after an airstrike, his hands bleeding as he pulled a girl, Amina, from the rubble, her small hand grasping his, her mother's sobs, a sound that still woke him at night. Amina's face merged with Lily's, her plea a call as urgent as any battlefield command. Carter grabbed Edward's arm, his grip like iron, his voice steady but commanding. "Let her go." Edward sneered, his voice dripping with disdain, his breath sour with cheap cologne. "Mind your post, soldier. This is none of your business." But Carter saw the fear in Lily's eyes, the bruises on her skin, the truth in her cry. "It's my duty," he said, his tone unyielding, his body shifting to shield Lily, his broad frame a wall between her and harm. The crowd gasped, phones recording, tourists whispering. Is he allowed to do that? He's a guard, isn't he? An older man, Mr. Harold Evans, a retired teacher with a military bearing from his national service days, nodded from the sidelines, his voice soft but proud. "Good lad. That's what a soldier does." The crowd parted as Carter restrained Edward, his training in close quarters combat, making the man's resistance futile. Lily slipped behind Carter, her small frame trembling, her hands clutching the edge of his tunic as if he were a lifeline, her breath hitching with sobs. "I saw her bruises," Carter said, his voice calm but firm. His eyes locked on Edwards, daring him to lie. Flashbacks played training sessions at Catterick, where instructors drilled him on spotting abuse. Look for fear. Control marks that don't match the story. Lessons from Mali, where he'd protected villagers from militias. His sergeant's words ringing. See the signs. Act fast, or you're no soldier. Edward's eyes flickered, his sneer faltering, but he swung an elbow, aiming for Carter's ribs. Carter blocked it effortlessly, his strength tempered by restraint, his focus on keeping Lily safe. You're making a mistake. Edward spat, his voice low, threatening, but Carter's resolve was a fortress, his duty to the girl outweighing the risk to his career, his rank, his future. Palace security officer Sarah Brooks arrived, her boots clicking on the stone, her radio crackling as she called for backup. We've got a situation at the main gate. Possible assault. Sarah's brown eyes met Carter's, her nod a silent approval, her presence a reminder that he wasn't alone. Police arrived within minutes, their blue lights slicing through the evening glow. Officers moving with practiced efficiency as they cuffed Edward, his glare venomous but powerless. Lily clung to Carter, her tears soaking his tunic, her voice a whisper. Thank you. Carter knelt, his bearskin cap towering over her, his voice gentle, the same tone he'd used with Amina in Syria, with orphans in Mali. You're safe now. Lily, I've got you. He brushed a strand of hair from her face, his gloved hand steady, his heart aching for the fear she'd endured. Sarah stood nearby, her radio relaying the incident to Palace Command, her face a mix of awe and pride. You did good. Carter, she said, her voice low, her hand resting briefly on his shoulder. Mr. Evans clapped, his eyes misty, his voice carrying to the crowd. That's what a soldier does. Protects the weak. The tourists erupted in applause, their phones still recording. Their cheers a wave that echoed off the palace walls, drowning out the fading snarl of Edward's protests. A young couple from Leeds, their toddler on their shoulders, shouted, "Hero!" A group of schoolchildren, led by a teacher in a bright scarf, chanted, "Thank you, Guard, for you, who've acted in a crisis. Perhaps pulling someone from a car wreck, comforting a stranger in distress, or standing up when no one else would." Carter's courage might recall a moment when you chose action over hesitation, when your heart led where rules faltered, when you became someone's shield. Tourist videos captured every second, clips spreading across X like wildfire, with captions like "Queen's Guard saves girl" and "Hero in scarlet," hashtags "Royal Hero." Buckingham bravery trended within hours. The footage shared from London to Liverpool, from small Yorkshire villages to bustling Manchester streets. Comments flooded in, a chorus of awe and gratitude. He risked his job for a kid he didn't know. Proud to be British today. This is what a real hero looks like. A London cabbie tweeted, drove past the palace that night, saw the crowd cheering. Respect, Mate. A nurse from Bristol wrote, I check kids for signs of abuse because of guards like him. The videos, grainy but powerful, showed Carter's leap, his confrontation with Edward, Lily's small form behind him. The crowd's applause a roaring tide. Mr. Evans appeared in one clip, his clap a beacon of approval. His voice clear. Good lad, you've done us proud. The online storm reached Carter's barracks by morning, his mates crowding around the phone, their laughter warm, but their eyes serious. You're famous, Mikey, one said, slapping his back. But Carter only shrugged, his thoughts on Lily, on the bruises he'd seen, on the cry he couldn't ignore. Letters poured into Buckingham Palace, envelopes bearing stamps from across the UK. Their words a tapestry of gratitude and shared stories. A primary school in Sussex sent a card, its cover adorned with children's drawings of Carter in his scarlet tunic, Lily smiling beside him. The words, our hero, scrawled in crayon. A veteran from Cornwall, his handwriting shaky, wrote, served in the Falklands. 82. Your courage is what soldiering's about. A foster carer from Leeds shared. We took in a girl like Lily, and your story gives us strength. A nurse from Manchester, her letter scented with lavender, said, I've worked A&E for 20 years, seen too many bruised kids. You reminded me why I keep going. Carter read each one in the quiet of his barracks, the bearskin cap on his bunk, his military cross tucked in a drawer, his heart swelling with the pride he hadn't felt since Syria. The palace, responding to the public outcry, convened an urgent review of guard protocols, and within weeks, new guidelines were issued. Guards were now trained to act on signs of immediate danger. Their role expanded to include civilian protection, a historic shift credited to Carter's actions. The change was announced quietly, but X erupted with approval. The Queen's Guard just got even better. One user posted, the sentiment echoed thousands of times. Lily was placed in a foster home in Kent, her safety ensured by social services. Her new family, a warm couple, who sent Carter a photo of her smiling. A teddy bear clutched in her arms, her blonde hair free of the tight ponytail, her eyes bright with hope. She wrote to him, her childish scrawl filling a page torn from a notebook. Dear Mr. Carter, you're my hero. I'm not scared anymore. I go to school now and have a dog named Max. Thank you for saving me. Love, Lily. Carter read the letter by lamplight, his eyes misty, the bearskin cap, a silent witness to the moment. He folded the letter carefully, tucking it into his pocket, a talisman he carried on duty. Lily's foster mother, Anna, called the palace, her voice trembling with gratitude. She talks about you every day, says she wants to be brave like the guard in red. Carter smiled, his throat tight, the weight of her words heavier than any medal. For you, who've sparked change perhaps by speaking out against injustice, challenging a workplace rule, or inspiring others through a single act of kindness. This legacy might echo a time when your courage reshaped the world around you. When your actions gave someone a future, Carter returned to his post, the tourists now cheering as he took position, their respect a new weight. He carried with quiet pride. He trained his peers, sharing lessons from Syria, Mali, and that July evening, his voice steady as he taught them to spot abuse bruises, fear, control, and to act when duty called. You see a kid in trouble, you move, he'd say, his eyes intense, his hands demonstrating a gentle restraint technique. His mates listened, their nods solemn, their respect for him deepened by the viral videos. The letters, the policy shift, the palace grounds, once a stage for ceremony, became a symbol of vigilance. The guard's stillness, now a promise of protection, their scarlet tunics a beacon for those in need. Carter's commanding officer, Captain Laura Henshaw, called him to her office, her smile rare but warm. You've changed how we're seen, Carter, she said, her voice steady. The crown's proud of you. She handed him a commendation, its parchment crisp. But Carter's thoughts were on Lily, on the letter in his pocket, on the duty that had guided him. Edward faced charges of assault and coercion, his arrest peeling back a history of abuse, his lies unraveling under police scrutiny in a London courtroom. Lily's story, shared with her foster family's permission, became a rallying cry, inspiring campaigns across the UK to combat child abuse. Charities like the NSPCC launched initiatives, their posters citing Carter's vigilance. See the signs, save a life. One poster, displayed in tube stations, showed a guard's silhouette. The words, duty to protect, in bold. Lily's case, a quiet inspiration. Parishes held vigils, their candles lit for children like Lily, their sermons drawing on Carter's story to urge congregations to act over apathy. A vicar in York said, Carter saw what we often miss fear in plain sight. Let's open our eyes. Schools adopted programs, teaching students to speak up, their lessons shaped by the God who'd listen to a girl's cry. A head teacher in Brighton wrote to Carter, our kids know they can tell someone because of you. X posts multiplied, with Royal Hero joined by Spot the Signs. Users sharing resources, stories of survival, and calls to protect the vulnerable. A London mother tweeted, "My daughter told her teacher about a bully, inspired by the guard who saved Lily." A Leeds foster carer wrote, "We're training to take in kids like her because of Carter's courage." Carter's act rippled beyond London, touching lives across the UK and beyond. In Manchester, a community centre started a Safe Eyes program, training volunteers to spot abuse. Its logo, a scarlet tunic, its mission inspired by Carter's vigilance. In Glasgow, a youth group raised funds for child protection charities, their banner reading, "For Lily, for all." Their leader citing Carter's story in a local paper. In Cardiff, a police officer, moved by the viral videos, launched a workshop for colleagues, using Carter's actions to teach proactive intervention. "He saw what we're trained to miss," she said, her voice firm. Her training manual, now including a case study titled "The Guard's Response." Internationally, the story spread, with a Canadian news outlet running a feature, "British Guards' Heroism Sparks Global Call to Protect Kids." A Sydney teacher emailed the palace, "We're teaching our students about courage, using your guard's story." Carter, unaware of the global reach, continued his duties, his shifts alternating between ceremonial posts and covert briefings. His dual role, a seamless blend of tradition and combat readiness. The palace, in the quiet of another summer evening, stood as a symbol of tradition upheld, but also of change forged by courage. The guards, once seen as statues in scarlet, were now heroes in the public's eyes, their tunics a symbol of protection as much as ceremony. Tourists visited with new reverence, their children waving at Carter, their parents whispering his story. "That's the guard who saved the girl." Mr. Evans became a regular, his visits a ritual, his handshake firm as he shared stories of his own service in the 1950s, his pride in Carter. A fatherly glow. "You did us all proud, son," he'd say, his eyes bright. His wife, Ellen, adding homemade biscuits to their meetings. Sarah Brooks, now a close friend, shared coffee in the barracks, her laughter easing the weight of duty, her own role in the incident coordinating police response, earning her a quiet commendation. "We're a team now, hero," she'd tease, her grin infectious, her respect for Carter a bond forged in crisis. Carter stood at his post under a starlit sky, the palace glowing softly, its flags fluttering in the breeze. Lily's letter rested in his pocket, her words, "I'm not scared anymore," a talisman he carried through long shifts, through memories of Syria's dust and Mali's heat. He thought of Amina, the girl from the rubble, whose mother had hugged him, her tears a weight he still felt. Of the orphans in Mali, their smiles a light in the darkness. Of Lily, whose cry had changed him, made him more than a guard, more than a soldier. The tourists passed, their smiles warmer now, their children's waves a reminder of why he served. A young girl, about Lily's age, approached with her mother, her voice shy. "Are you the guard who helped the girl?" Carter, bound by protocol, couldn't speak, but his eyes softened, his nod slight but clear. The mother smiled, her hand on her daughter's shoulder. "Thank you for keeping us safe. For you, who've protected others, perhaps shielding a loved one from harm, mentoring a child through fear, or standing as a beacon in your community." Carter's legacy might recall a time when your actions gave someone hope, when your strength became their safety, when your courage lit a path through darkness. The ripple of Carter's act continued, reshaping communities, inspiring action, saving lives. In Birmingham, a social worker, moved by Lily's story, started a support group for foster children. Its meetings filled with kids sharing their fears, their hopes, their dreams of heroes in red. In Edinburgh, a charity run raised Zan for child protection, its runners wearing scarlet ribbons, their chant for Lily, for Carter echoing through the streets. In London, a mural appeared in Shoreditch, a guard in scarlet holding a child's hand. The words "duty to protect" painted in bold. Its artists citing Carter as inspiration. Schools across the UK adopted Lily Days, annual events teaching children to recognize abuse, to trust adults like Carter, to be brave. A Liverpool student wrote to Carter, "I told my teacher about my stepdad. Because you helped Lily, I'm okay now." Churches, from small Cornish chapels to Grand York cathedrals, held services on protection, their pews filled with people like you, who saw in Carter a reflection of their own struggles to act, to care, to change. A Bristol priest wrote, "Your story reminds us to see the invisible, to hear the silent." Carter's mates in the barracks, once prone to ribbing him for his seriousness, now called him hero, with quiet respect, their banter softened by pride. His sister, Emily, a nurse in Newcastle, visited, her hug fierce, her voice teasing but warm. "You're all over the news, you know." Mums bragging to everyone. Their mother, John, a retired schoolteacher, sent a care package: socks, biscuits, a note. "Always knew you'd make a difference." Mikey. Carter smiled, his heart full, his family's love a balm for the weight of duty. He volunteered at a local youth center, teaching kids self-defense. His lessons laced with advice. Trust your gut. Speak up. Find someone safe. The kids, wide-eyed, hung on his words, their drawings of guards in scarlet pinned to the center's walls. A boy, Jamie, whose father had been abusive, clung to Carter, his whisper echoing Lily's, "You're my hero too." Carter ruffled his hair, his voice soft, "You're the brave one." Mate, the Queen's Guard, in the wake of Carter's act, saw their role redefined, their training expanded to include civilian protection, their scarlet tunics a symbol of vigilance as much as tradition. Captain Henshaw, at a rare public event, spoke of Carter. "He showed us what duty means, not just to the crown, but to those we serve." The public's trust grew, their cheers louder, their letters a constant stream to the palace. Carter, humble as ever, deflected praise, his focus on the next shift, the next cry he might hear. Lily's foster family invited him to visit, their Kent home filled with laughter. Max the dog, bounding around. Lily's smile, a mirror of the hope Carter had given her. "You're part of our family now," Anna said. Her husband, Tom, nodding, their gratitude a warmth. Carter carried back to London. Lily hugged him, her teddy bear pressed between them, her voice bright. "I'm going to be a guard one day, like you." Carter laughed, his eyes bright. "You'll be braver than me." Lily. In the quiet of a new evening, Carter stood at his post, the palace aglow under a canopy of stars, its flags whispering in the breeze. Lily's letter, now creased from caring, rested in his pocket. Her words a steady pulse. "I'm not scared anymore." He thought of Amina, of the orphans, of Jamie, of every child whose fear he'd eased, whose trust he'd earned. The tourists passed, their smiles a silent thank you, their children's waves a spark of joy. Mr. Evans, now a friend, visited weekly, his stories of national service a bridge to Carter's own. His biscuits, a barracks staple. Sarah, sharing coffee, planned a charity run with Carter, their goal to fund child protection programs, their friendship a light in the routine of duty. The palace, in its timeless grace, stood as a testament to tradition, upheld but also to change forged by courage. A guard's leap, a girl's cry, a world awakened for you, who've lived through moments of heroism, perhaps a quiet act that saved a life, a stand that inspired the community, or a choice that honored your deepest values. This tale is a call to remember the power of action, the strength of compassion, the courage to hear a cry and move. Carter's story invites you to share your own with your children, your grandchildren, your friends at the pub, your neighbors over tea. Write them in a letter. Tell them at a family gathering. Let them live in the spaces where memories are kept, where love takes root. What would you do to protect the vulnerable? Perhaps it's a moment when you acted despite fear, spoke up against wrong, or stood as a shield for someone in need. Share it in a whispered conversation, a note to a loved one, or a story at a community supper, and let it be a spark that lights the way. Subscribe to our channel for more stories of heroism and honor, and join us in raising awareness. Spot the signs, act with courage, protect with love. Click the bell to stay updated. And share this story with someone who believes in duty above all, in a guard's courage that shines beyond the palace gates. A duty to protect that endures.